And good morning, everybody. It is Fabulous Friday featuring Luke Howard. Now, Luke, I met you at a hypnosis conference. It was the Michigan one last year. And I was captivated by your presentation. You are an awesome presenter. And I absolutely loved it. You speak from the heart. There's no notes, no nothing. It's you, and you get what you get what you're given. You know your stuff, you're passionate, you know it. And oh my goodness, do you know what, Luke? Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and they'll realize from your accent who where you're from. So anyway, there you go. Take it away.
Well, Claudia, let me talk to you. It's funny, it's Friday, but it feels a lot like Monday, doesn't it? So I've been doing this business for about 25 years now. I've told the story 1,000,001 times, so I'll give you a short and condensed version. When I was a kid, I had about every single problem you could bloody imagine. The only two problems I didn't have is I wasn't sexually abused and I wasn't addicted to any illicit substance. Other than that, every problem you can imagine and some you don't want to imagine I had. Tried to top myself, which is British talk for try and kill myself twice before the age of 17. When the second time didn't hit, I'm like, I better start living now and find a way to save myself. And I'd gone through psychology and child psychology because I was the problem from like the age of 9 or 10 all the way up to 18, 19, 20. And although it was lovely for someone to listen to me bang on about my agoraphobia, my traumas, my horrible relationship with my parents, being bullied at school, the asthma and the whooping cough that nearly killed me, being agoraphobic and being anxious before everybody was anxious. I'm talking about in 1993. It was lovely to have someone listen to me once a week for 50 minutes for 8 or 9 years. But they didn't help me, didn't give me any strategies, didn't make me any more confident, didn't make me be able to have bloody eye contact with someone when I was speaking to them, didn't stop the bullying, didn't stop the anxiety, didn't stop the reoccurring negative thoughts. Until I got involved with hypnosis. And that's what really, really turned my life around. And then I'm like, well, if this worked on me, and it was a generic audio cassette, because it was back in the 90s, where CDs weren't so big and we didn't have MP3s or streaming. So I had to have my old, was it Philips or JVC Walkman? And I'd have to flip over the cassette after 22 minutes to listen to the second side, which was kind of interesting. But when that bloody audio cassette saved my life, I was like, hey, maybe I should spend the rest of my life learning this. Oh, before I say some colourful words, am I allowed to use colourful language?
Go for it.
But when I realised this shit worked for me, I'm like, bloody hell, I should spend the rest of my life learning how the fuck this stuff works. So I spent the next 25 years traveling the world, spending money I didn't have at the time, learning from people far smarter than me, how to elicit, how to get change in my clients.
Yeah. And it works. I mean, it is incredible. Hypnosis, the mind, the way we can help reframe things for people, it works. So again, tell me where are you now? Where do you you're in Canada?
I am in what most people outside of Canada think is the capital of Canada, Toronto. It's not, but when people outside of Canada, they're like, oh, Toronto's the capital. I used to think that. But yeah, and Toronto's interesting because all these Hollywood movies and TV shows are not always filmed in America anymore or LA. They're actually filmed on the streets of Toronto. So I can walk around downtown and I'll see these big lorries parked and they're filming scenes for like Batman and The Boys and all these shows. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I was in Toronto just this last May, and the architecture is pretty cool. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's a lot like London.
Yeah. There are certain bits, definitely the old architecture.
For sure.
So yeah. So again, what's your passion? What's your passion now? What are you focused on?
What am I focused on now? My ultimate goal has been for a long time is to incorporate a form of a show. Like I do therapy. I don't like the word therapy, but most people, that's the box they want to put in. We call it change work, I think, for the most part. But I'd like to do a form of performance which incorporates hypnosis. And no disrespect to the stage hypnotists out there, but a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them just do the same dog and pony shows. It's the same shit I've seen a million times, and it's not fun, right? It's the same tired routines, but incorporating some hypnosis, stage hypnosis, with some mentalism, with horror,
Okay.
with storytelling. So someone comes in and they watch people and me going through something, and it's shock and it's awe, and the only one whose life is in danger in these shows is me. But there's a story, there's a narrative that's weaved into the background. That it's like a bit like that movie Saw, although no one's being tortured other than me. That you have to get to the end of it, then you get the flashbacks to see all the Easter eggs that were placed all over the show. Oh my God! And there's a big reveal at the end. Now, I'm nowhere close to being done with this thing, but that's my ultimate passion. That's what I'd like to be. But in the meantime, when it comes to change work, my ultimate change work, right, is a client comes in or over Zoom, because most of us do our work over Zoom now, right? And they don't even fucking tell me what their problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at them and I know that they're there. They've got a problem. It's activated in their neurology and they're just ready to let it go. And I just look at them. And I get my Vaiku, as we call in Huna, or spirit guides. I know that sounds a bit like hokey. It happens to work though. I don't give a fuck if it sounds hokey or not. All I care about is, does this shit work? Not what the textbook says that should work, but all this weird stuff that I come up with or learn. If it works, I'm going to use it again. If it doesn't work, even if there's a textbook that backs it up and years of studies, if it doesn't work in real life, I discard it. So a client comes in or over Zoom, they've got a problem. I'm like, do you want to get rid of it? They're like, yeah. I just look at them. And a minute later, I'm like, it's gone, isn't it? And they're like, yeah, how did you know? Because my Vaiku, my spirit guides told me it was gone. That's my ultimate goal. Is they don't even tell them what the problem is. They don't have to re-traumatize themselves. They don't have to speak it. They don't have to tell me what it is. But they just come in and I get my guys to go in and help them let it go. And like in a minute.
Wow.
That's my ultimate goal.
What a wonderful ability. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
As in case you don't realize, I like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things for me to do in a session
is to be quiet.
Is shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So this forces me to stop using all of my wonderful linguistic skills, right? All my 267 hypnotic tools. And the only person who cares about our hypnotic tools or our advanced language patterns or other hypnotists, other change work, clients don't give a fuck. Like, can you fucking help me?
Yeah.
I don't care how you do it. Can you do it? And can you do it pretty quickly? And can you do it pretty permanently? To which I say, no, I can't do any of those things, but I can teach you unconsciously how to do it really, really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. We do not need to know the story. We do not, the person does not need to keep on going over those old stories, those old beliefs. And because all it does, in my opinion, is it embeds it even more. And it's like, and if we can just say either it's one or two things, or as you say, just be quiet, they will do the work themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's that's wonderful. Now, I would like to know, you have a wonderful partner, Pixie. What's she up to?
The Hypno Pixie. She is in the French part of Canada right now, having Thanksgiving with her parents. We have a deal where like, I'm only obliged to go once a year because I don't speak French, they don't speak English. So I sit around the table at Christmas with a shitty smile. I have no fucking idea what they're saying. They have no idea what I'm fucking saying. So if she goes, I'm like, yes, Google Translate. So the deal is, although it's not written on paper, there's no guilt or shame attached to it, is once a year I show up at Christmas and spend a week there at Christmas. But when she goes on other times, I leave her to it, to her family and her friends that are 8 hours away. And I'm here with you can't see him. He usually likes to make a cameo, but today he's just lying on a couch. My cat, Mr. B.
Oh, Mr. B. Okay, wonderful. Now, let's help people here now with the whole thing about thoughts. because it is it's big, isn't it? I mean, the thing is that you, like me, we know that we all have thoughts. We have, what is it, 70,000 thoughts?
I heard they said, yeah, it's
day?
like 70,000 thoughts a day, of which, and I don't know how they measure it, 60,000 thoughts a day, of which 53,000 of the 60,000 thoughts a day, of which 57,000 are negative. I have no fucking idea how they measure that. So we've got 3,000 positive thoughts versus 57,000 negative. So it's no wonder most of us are fucked up, negative, feeling shit, living below the poverty line, fat, not with the people that we want, not making enough money, anxious, depressed. Is this 57,000? If you had an army of 57,000 against 3, I know who my money's on.
Yeah, who's going to win?
Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is that people think, oh, I just shouldn't have them. I shouldn't have them at all. And therefore, then one creeps in. Oh, now I failed. Now it's all gone wrong. Nothing works because I've had the negative thought. Well, do you know what? You're going to have it. So tell us what because people know probably my take on it and some of my tools that I give to people. If you're willing, share what you do, Luke.
Sure. And a disclaimer is nothing I do is original. Every technique that I do, I have paid money to learn from someone else. And there's this thing in hypnosis in there, especially with stage hypnotists. Oh, I invented the wheel. No, you didn't invent shit. I've got a big fucking ego. I didn't invent shit. I'm really successful. I didn't invent shit. The only thing that's original about me is I go and do all these courses and I process them through my noggin, and it comes out of my heart and my mouth through my filtering systems, and it will come out a little bit different than you or this hypnotist or that change worker. That's the only bloody originality I bring to any of this, is my character. What was the question again?
So just
I get you. The thoughts. I told you I like to talk a lot. So I used to be very black and white in my thinking about myself and with my clients. And it was really, really useful in a lot of context, right? To be very black and white. I either have the problem or I don't. I either smoke or I don't. It's like you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant, right? Exactly. So I found it was really useful sometimes. And it was useful to myself in my own life, but it also put me under an enormous amount of pressure. I was successful, but bloody anxious and miserable a lot of the time because I'm either everything or nothing. I'm black and white. I'm either eating healthy and training every day, or I'm doing nothing, right? I'm either making money and helping clients, or I'm doing nothing. So this is where it's unuseful. So thoughts would come up in my head. I'm like, well, this is a good thought. This is a bad thought. I'm amazing. Seems like a good thought. I'm a piece of shit. Seems like a bad thought. But what I started to learn is all thoughts are a bit like energy. There's no good energy. There's no bad energy. There's just energy. Where people get confused, where I used to get confused, is I used to stick a label on it saying good energy, bad energy, good thought, bad thought, right? You will probably get this. You've watched me do it before, I think, but I'll do it with you and your watchers, your viewers. I urge them to do it as well. All right, here's the experiment.
Okay.
You have 2 thoughts. Thought number 1 is of a feather.
Okay.
Thought number 2 is of a 50-pound kettlebell, kind of you'd have in the gym.
Yep.
So thought number 1 is a feather. Thought number 2 is a 50-pound kettlebell. Which thought weighs more?
The kettlebell.
See, most people would say that. Almost 9 out of 10 people.
But I know the answer.
But you already know. You've seen me do it before. And most people would do that, right? They say they'd go on a kettlebell. To which I'd say it certainly would seem that way, wouldn't it? But there's no inherent weight attached to a thought. A 3-ton truck versus my cat. Well, the 3-ton truck. No, a thought is a thought. There's no weight attached. In the same way, there's no weight attached. There's no emotion that's attached other than the emotion we label to it. So if I'm working with a client and I will do a lot of stuff over addiction and stopping drinking, and we do a bunch of work and they are no longer drinking. But they come back session 2 or 3. I never work really more than 3 sessions. It's not needed. But they come back 3 or 4 weeks later, to which I say, well, how's it going? What changes have you noticed? Well, Luke, I'm still getting this thought of drinking, and taking to mind they were binge drinking 10 beers every single night before they come to see me. Oh, yeah, Luke, the first thing they say, I'm still having the thought of drinking. To which I say, well, it's been, 3 weeks since our first session, since we started working? Like, yeah. How many times have you drank? Well, 0. But I'm still having the thought, Luke. I'm like, hold on. You came in, you were drinking 10 beers a night. It's been 3 weeks. You're not drinking at all now, and you're just worried about the thought, because they think the thought is going to lead them to drinking not a healthy green drink, but a beer or wine or whiskey, overdrink, whatever it is. So when I work with my clients, I start to teach them, look, it's a bit like the feather and the kettlebell.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bad thought. I have some really fucking weird thoughts. We all do. I'm just honest about them. I could get really angry in my head and imagine going on a killing spree of my neighbours because they're fucking noisy as fuck. But as long as I never actually take action, because I'm not a psychopath and I don't want to kill anybody, as long as it stays in here, it comes, it goes. Then my next thought is, let me pet my cat a little bit. Then I have a next thought of, oh, look at the picture in the background of Claudia's room right there. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
Now, if I take action on it, that's bad. Of course, shouldn't be killing anyone, stuff like that. But we all have weird fucking thoughts. They're having the thought of me killing my neighbours. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I've had the thought, who knows, 10,000 times. I haven't killed anybody.
Yeah, and it's true. It's so true, Luke. People get really upset about, they call them intrusive thoughts. And it's, it's like, well, I have them. I mean, I remember I was sat next to somebody at at a conference, and I got this massive urge to just like scribble on his arm.
I thought you were going to say stab him in the back of the neck for a minute.
Yes, I just really wanted to like scribble on his arm, and then I started chuckling to myself. Thought, well, obviously I'm not going to do it, but I just thought, I wonder what would happen if I did. But it was, to me, that's an intrusive thought, but It was a funny one, and I do quite giggle at my own intrusive thoughts because they are quite amusing. However, of course, we know that sometimes a lot of people, we've just said about the negative, there can be so many negative intrusive thoughts. And to me, this is why I don't know what you think about this, Luke. I give people a shield in hypnosis, their own force field, because you do not give other people's bad behavior or their emotions or your own negative feelings and emotions permission to change the way you feel. It's a bit like speak to the hand, and it's like speak to the hand of that thought, because we can only get upset by our thoughts if we give it permission to upset us. Just like you said with that thought about whether they're going to drink, a whole glass of whiskey, or, they might have the thought that they want to, but they're really going to do it. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I explain it in this equation, which also isn't mine, by the way. The equation is experience times resistance equals suffering. Experience times resistance equals suffering. Experience times resistance equals suffering. We have an experience, right? Oh, something bad happened to me. Oh, I can't. And then we resist it. I can't think about that anymore because when I do, it's bad. Oh, I used to drink too much and now I don't drink because I made that decision. But I've got to keep the thought of drinking away, which tightens you up over the problem like this, which then causes your suffering. And I do this in my talks, right? This is you. Get on the camera right there, right? This is you. This is you having an experience, right? This is a thought that comes by, good or bad, right? We all have good thoughts. We all have bad thoughts. This is called being alive. If you don't want any more bad thoughts, then you probably shouldn't be here anymore. And I'd recommend you stay alive as long as possible, right? So this is every human being. This is a thought or experience, good or bad. It comes, it goes, and it's replaced by another thought. Want to pet my cat? Oh, I want to drink my green drink right now. Oh, what's my cat doing now? Hey, look at the picture in the background of Claudia. This is, like the crazy thoughts that we have, like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. We all do it. But that's not the problem. Experience times your resistance, right? So then something comes like, oh, I'm thinking about drinking. I know drinking is bad. I should never drink again. And then they start masturbating. You know what masturbating is? Not masturbating. It's like, I must never think of drinking again. I must never think of sugary food again. I must never think of those women or men like that way again. Now you've created suffering, right? Because now the problem, the thought is about you. So now it isn't about the thought. It's about you holding onto it and gripping it, because now this becomes your experience, which becomes your suffering. We can't change what happened to you, because guess what? It already bloody happened. You can change what you do in your head, but that terrible thing that happened 5, 10, 15 years ago, it happened. And I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do to change it. However, this suffering that you're perpetuating in the moment, because that thing has ended, that stuff you can change. And I'm not going to drop this because it's a bloody Stanley knife and I would cut myself, so I'll drop it on my couch. But essentially, I would just drop it. And people are like, how do you let go of thoughts? And I teach them it's as easy as that. Yeah. And then I teach them how to imprint the feeling of letting go of a simple object, get the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, and be able to do it with a thought. The same way they have that feeling of the moment before they let go, to imprint that into their mind. So when they have a thought, they don't have to push it down, bloody reframe it, go and do 40 minutes of hypnosis somewhere, tap themselves like a lunatic. By the way, I'm making fun of these things. I do them all with people. But they can just, stop dropping the knife, dropping the pen, whatever it was, get the kinesthetic, thought comes up. How did I drop that? Oh, there was that feeling of the void, whatever it is, just before. Thought comes up. They imagine, because it's only imagination, right? They imagine doing the dropping. And that makes a big difference in a lot of people. It's not the only thing I do.
It really does. It really does. So I do from the chimp paradox, the monkey, in the vase, and then I go, but you've actually got to let it go. And shake your hands. And then I've got a little tree analogy that I give to people about a bird. A bird is the thought. So we all have thoughts, but you don't need to let it make a nest. Because otherwise it builds nests and it craps all over your tree. Because you're the magnificent tree. So I agree. I love it. Both singing on the same hymn sheet there, Luke. I knew we would be. There we go. So I agree. Thoughts. It's been wonderful having you on here. No doubt I'll have you on here again at some point. However, everybody, thank you for watching. And if you want to get in touch with Luke and work with Luke, he is in Toronto, and it's lukenosis.com. We'll put his other links in the chat. So anyway, have a great day, everybody. And it's goodbye from me, Claudia Rickard. And it's goodbye from Luke.
Always believe.
All right.